Illusions of social media relationships. I'm still troubled deep in my mind, trying to figure out whether the sense called hope is equally a gift, something to be grateful for or otherwise. I'm torn between blaming myself or this natural sense of hope all the many times or I have sold myself on false hope or failed mind promises. It's a concept for which I admittedly often have mixed thoughts about. But as a consolation, at least for now, I recently came to discover that I'm not alone in this, that there is someone out there that struggles with the same concept like me. Please don't misconstrue me. Hope is a good thing, can be a very good thing. But I think my failure, perhaps just as much as Alvin, is the continuous struggle to know when to give it up and accept some of the realities that life blatantly offers. After debating, with a fair depth of analysis to Arsenal's recent form, a 10-game unbeaten run following their horrific start to the season, 2021/2022, Alvin and I found ourselves discussing life, social media, and eventually love. Permit me to excuse you from the boring parts of the conversation, among which the indignities of social media dominated, and jump right to the topic I often find myself discussing, whether intently from a point of consultation or incidentally. Love. Alvin tells me that they met on social media, Twitter to be exact. It began with a simple reply, a comment to a tweet I can hardly remember, sharing an opinion that went on to attract more comments. He spoke in recollection. And from those multiple replies and comments, we went on to follow each other. The two would go on to have exchanges on the Twitter streets, complimenting and commenting on each other's content, tagging one another in content they found mutual interest in or figured would put a smile on another's face. After months of such online behavior, somehow, high on hope, with an illusion fantasy of some sort, Alvin braved off his fears and proceeded to her inbox. I will give it to him. He had the cojones to do what I have found myself failing at more than once. Inbox. They would go on to have an almost everyday chat, getting to know each other candidly, asking each other questions that sought to know more about one another without sounding too intrusive. Like many, sometimes they would exchange greetings, and after knowing how she was doing, I found myself a bit stuck, not knowing what conversation to bring up or where it would even lead, Alvin admitted. But I swear our chats were filled with an unexplored chemistry between us. You would think we know each other beyond Twitter, that we had actually met in real life. He added, yeah, more than once. They have flirted a little, further raising his fantasies of the two of them being in love. So much so that after 3 months, he started to float the idea of them meeting. As he said, he wanted to put a physical face to the name, beyond the pictures he'd seen posted to the timeline and others when he tried to dig a little deeper. On the timeline, they had not shied away, trivially though, from tagging one another in tweets that insinuated that they were dating or at the very least had something special going for them. These were like simple pokes and pats that evoke smiles. In fact, I had mentally concluded as such about these two, and as luck would have it, they met 2 months later at a Twitter barbecue in Kianja. Whereas he was excited to see her in person, he acknowledges being as nervous as the first time he went skydiving. It was a worthwhile evening as Twitter users, acquaintances, and friends mingled, putting faces to names they had only interacted with remotely, with small account holders like Alvin asking for a follow back here, and they're among those with large followings. Beers were tanked and roasted meat was eaten. But I couldn't nail her down to a solid moment for a proper one-on-one. She was like a twelub Twitter celebrity of some sort, with almost everyone trying to have their own chat with her, Alvin noted in a lamenting way. When the day was finally over, and everyone had retreated back to their respective anonymous hideouts, back behind the keyboards, conversation between the two continued with the formalities of, "It was nice to finally meet you in person. You are so beautiful," he complimented her. About a week later, he made an official advance, asking Ruth to be his girlfriend. Unfortunately, all the free-flowing conversations and flirtations counted for nothing as Ruth revealed to Alvin that she was in a serious relationship with someone else, who is said to be away for work in the UAE. When she said it to me, my heart literally sunk, Alvin said, in a voice that still conveyed disappointment to this day, feeling like his heart had been toyed with. I tried to be a little persistent, without having to damage our small friendship to no fruition, he added. Obviously, their exchanges have since dwindled. Rejection is a cold place to live in. As we chatted all out, my memory jogged to a story shared by a work colleague, Shafik, during my stint as a casual laborer in painting work some years ago. To the best of my recollection, he, my workmate, had courted the love of a woman he met on Facebook. Like Alvin, the chats were mostly free-flowing, filled with fantasies and spiced with flirtations, remotely cozying up to what they both figured or envisioned would soon be a reality. Subsequently, they shared contacts and spoke at length before deciding to meet physically. High on expectations, the lady had agreed to come over at the guy's place for a day visit. And on the D-Day, he tidied up his room, ready for this blind date, before finding a comfortable spot at Namagoma Stage where he waited for his new catch. He had shared some of his romantic adventures with his best friend Norald, who he equally worked with at the time. Together, they waited by the stage, with a plan that Norald would address the woman on phone for directions as soon as she disembarked from the taxi at the stage. And when the lady arrived, in the course of communications, they were able to see her before she could locate them. And to say the least, at least gently or diplomatically, she did not match Shafik's physical appearance expectations. Over the phone, Arnold, in a mockery of the whole arrangement, pronounced Shafik as dead. And to cut it all short, the woman eventually boarded back to wherever it was she had come from. Whether she had sufficient transport or not, you and I will never know, but things obviously did not go according to plan, just like the case was with Alvin. Although many have registered some success with these social media relationships, my humble advice to whoever cares to listen and is still in this wilderness for the hunt, please tread carefully. Expose your heart less to heartbreaks, and keep your expectations in check to avoid enormous disappointment. Hi everyone, this is Robert K. Circles. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast today. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, I'd be incredibly grateful if you could take a moment to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Give us a like on your favorite podcast platform. Leave a comment letting us know what you thought. We love hearing your feedback. And if you know someone who might enjoy the show, please share it with them. Your support means the world to me and helps us reach more listeners. Thanks again for being a part of the Robert K. Circles community. Until next time, take care.